much. Today I will be presenting because Helton is going to be also presenting our research group later. But this is a research that we have started together. And it's a draft, so please take it as a draft. We welcome very much your input on this. And you're going to see that it's extremely connected with the presentation that Nicola just did. Not only because it's centered on Rome, but also because it connects to far-right politics, it connects to the actual wave of immigration in Europe, it connects to this idea of how place and global trends merge. And also differently than Cicalone, our case study started as an institutionalized one, while Cicalone took some time to get recognized by the institutions. In our case, it started as a practice and someone who was recognized and entrusted by the mayor and the city of Rome. All right, so who are we talking about? We have one. All right, yes. We are particularly focusing on one case study today, but our goal is to expand to others because many other accounts opened after this one. And our main case study is where we are investigating the social media posts by the alias of this person that you see here is the boy who cleans Rome. We're going to give you some background on him. But first, we wanted to tell you where we are coming from. So we are trying to investigate the ideological discourse surrounding the material maintenance of the city of Rome. So how the city of Rome is taken care of by the institutions and is cleaned. And then we argue that the fight against, especially graffiti as a form of dirt, of urban dirt, has become a form of digital and masculinized vigilantism against writers, translating into a form of gendered hygienism. So this idea of hygienizing the city, of cleaning up the city. For this reason, since 2025, we'll tell you why 2025 is graffiti walls started to appear on social media, intersecting questions of governance and individuation. So how people use social media in constructing a persona of themselves, which is a digital alias. So it brings about this idea of the individual standing out of the society, but also then relating to social issues. Okay. No. So who is the boy who cleans Rome? So the boy who cleans Rome is a case study, and it's actually an Instagram page that you can visit and follow. His name is actually, this alias is Mr. Toops. It's a viral TikToker and Instagram creator. So he's mainly using those two platforms. As you see, there is a difference in also the age gap between Cicalone and the boy who cleans Rome. Now, Cicalone started on YouTube. This account particularly started with the Jubilee in 2025, because it's during the year of 2025 that the maintenance company that the family of this social media influencer has was entrusted by the city of Rome to clean the walls from the graffiti for the Jubilee, and because of the funding that they also received from the European Commission. He basically, Mr. Toof, he's been filming himself reading the Tiber riverbanks. So if you go down the riverbanks from the graffiti, what he calls restorative work. How do we come up with this example? We were doing research on graffiti for a conference that Isabel organized here last year on the Tiber riverbanks. And the Tiber riverbanks, because they have those huge walls, they function really well as canvas for graffiti, for street art. So at some point we were like, okay, let's go down again the riverbanks to do ethnographic research. We were using visual method. We get there and it was all clean, it was all white. And we're like, oh, okay, our research field, like, there's nothing here, what's happening? It was happening that the Valerio Tuveri and the company that his father and his family runs, it's a company of sandblasting, so of cleaning the walls with sand. This company doesn't just clean from graffiti, it cleans from mold, it cleans from plants, etc. But his account particularly focuses graffiti as an illegal practice because he cannot put it up against plants, clearly. All right, so he was commissioned in 2025 by public authorities of cleansing the surface of the Tiber riverbanks from dirt. You see here, this is a picture, and this is actually a video that you can play, it's kind of interesting, with the mayor of Rome. where both of them, we were noticing with Helton how they're very sanitized in their attire. They're wearing this sort of, so also almost like a crime TV series, CSI scene, not the crime scene, white suit. And this is what he wears to clean the war and make videos of himself while cleaning. And he made this video with the mayor of Rome, and the mayor of Rome endorsed and showed with pride this new enterprise of cleaning the city of Rome. Rome is not right wing, so it's interesting how, although his profile is more and more leaning towards far right, especially showing remigration personalities that are active in Italy at the moment. However, it was praised by authorities across the different political leanings, and also by, generally speaking, by mainstream media. All right. So if there is one aspect that, for example, is emphasized in his practice, is who should be an artist. So writers, graffiti writers, for him are clearly not artists, and he taps very much into this nostalgia for a glorious past with churches, with walls, the Renaissance, the Middle Ages, the Roman Empire. That is very much into the way that he constructs his cleaning practice. That's the real art, with universal artists recognized as the ones. The one that produce art, versus graffiti writers who are just erasing artistry in the city of Rome, or ruining artistry. For example, here they were cleaning the wall of a church, and they say you're cleaning a church from 1548, covered in useless and reckless writing, made by ignorant, brainless, who believe themselves to be artists. So he, as a practice, sanctions what art should be and what art is. And there's part of this that comes from the institutionalized role that he has, because he feels entrusted also by the municipal authorities. We also, looking into his account, we started to connect this practice not only to far right and remigration practices, so the othering of the migrants and immigrants, but also to a very much of a masculinized maintenance that connects to the manosphere. So first of all, a little bit about how we approached this case study. We are actually conducting a multimodal content and discourse analysis of the available online videos associated with his account, including also media coverage and paratext uploading his work. As an example, the national newspaper La Repubblica, who's left, it's a newspaper, one of the most read in Italy, and is a left-leaning newspaper. They praised his work. So as I said before, it cuts across political leanings because of this idea of caring and maintenance, of making the city beautiful, beautiful for the residents. And so in La Repubblica, they write, the magic of Mr. Tufts and the Tiber's embankment graffiti disappears like this. And then we also aim to discuss the content that he produces within the concept of the manosphere. So what is the manosphere is a digital sphere that is dedicated to an idealized form of masculinity associated with traditional, misogynistic, homophobic, and gendered values. How does he do this? In many different ways. For example, and this connects to what Nicola was saying before, very often he uses songs for his videos that come from trap Italian artists. One of them is from Rome, a very well-known trapper whose name is Tony Effe. And Tony Effe has been at the center of huge public debate, especially by feminist circles, because he was invited as a star by the mayor of Rome for New Year's Eve in the city center, in the main square, and the main national and Roman feminist associations and activist groups, they campaigned to have him removed from the lineup because of the very misogynistic lines that he has in his songs. At the same time, what he does while he creates this video here, we put on purpose this image with the name of a woman, Aurora. Because very often he phrases his work as the work in paternalistic terms, as that sort of that he is the man who is taking care of the city, and the city of Rome is treated as a synecdoche for a woman who needs to be taken care of, who's a little bit something that we should protect. So he phrases very much his videos with this idea of care. So, and then he shifts from a feminist perspective of care to a paternalistic perspective of care, where the woman or the city of Rome are vulnerable subjects that should be taken care of. In this case, for example, they say if you love someone, do not write them on walls, bring her out for dinner, bring her to do vacations, give her a surprise, but Rome should not be touched. And then Vigilantism says, and then anyway, I hope Aurora was the name of the girl, you didn't concede to him. So there's very much this very patriarchal idea of gendered roles and romantic relationships that is embedded into his aesthetics and discourse. We do have some research questions that we're trying to answer and address. And the first is that we investigate the extent to which city maintenance has served as a critical site of contentious politics, where masculinity has not only been reenacted by social media actors, but also endorsed by public officials and the press in this case. While the presence of graffiti has long sparked widespread anger and negative coverage in the Italian media, to what extent can this new movement exclude minoritized people whose voice is seen in public space through graffiti, where minoritized groups very often also find a way to express themselves through this practice? And to what extent the capture of city maintenance by the manosphere can achieve not only the re-energizing of the anti-graffiti movement, but also new masculinizing of the whole city upkeeping process. And here to conclude, the next steps is to review the discourse around public decency and the decorum dimension in the city that is used a lot in the Italian discourse in city maintenance, in the sense of that is called degradation, and to verify the possibility of weaponization and forced securitization of the city, a phenomenon highlighted by feminist legal studies scholar Tamar Peach and others. And finally, to invest in understanding the power behind dichotomies of degradation versus cleaning, strength versus weakness. Now, we once again, we fall into those dichotomies that, for example, feminist perspective has tried to undo for so many years, and whereby traditional gender and social roles become synonyms. So with order and flow, with a flow sense of city maintenance. So thank you very much. I'm going to stop here with those open parts. As I said, we don't have many answers yet. But we will be very happy to have a discussion with you all and with Nicola, who presented before, as I see a lot of intersecting lines.